Welcome to BitBoy Crypto, home of the BitSquad, the largest crypto community in all the interwebs. In fact, the entire Milky Way. We have a great show today. This is Around the Blockchain. I'm your host, DZ, filling in for TJ a couple days this week. And moving forward next week, starting on Monday, I'll be your full-time host. So I'm going to try to, some pretty big shoes to fill. I'm going to do my best. Just bear with me on the first episode or two. I'll try to bring the A game. But today, we got a fantastic show today. We got some great guests. We got some great topics. And we're going to start with Blockchain Boy, soon to launch on Infinity Pad. And he has his own NFT. Look out. And we also have Your Biz. He's a haven of knowledge. And he's going to tell you about all the secret techs that you need to know about. And we also have CryptoJebb, a.k.a. Paintball Mercenary, ready to do battle with Ben. Ooh, and that brings us to Ben Armstrong taking it up. He's nifty, and he knows it. And that speed limit sign, not even able to contain him nor the demon. All right, so we got some great topics today. We're going to talk about NFTs. Oh, he's scoffing at me. You're the one who got pulled over. You're the one who got pulled over. We got some great topics today. We have NFTs not slowing down. We have China FUD. Is it a big deal anymore? Do we even care? Is that a wall that we can hurdle? I think it is. And we have the summer of DeFi and Ethereum, as Will Smith said. It's summertime. All right, so we're going to start things off with the market watch today. Looks like it's been a pretty good, crazy day for DeFi specifically. We got some huge gainers here. KuCoin, J-Chains, where you at? KuCoin up 33%. Synthetics at one point was up 25%. Also some other DeFi plays. Looks like BNB, ETH outperforming Bitcoin here. We also have Compound, Uni up about 15%. So it's been pretty big. Jebb, I'm going to take it to you. It looks like Bitcoin's been mostly flat. Like I said, Ethereum and some of the DeFi plays have been outperforming it. Has there been anything that you've seen really popping off today that the people need to know about?
Yeah, so guys, there's actually kind of a lot going on, technically speaking, on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Hopefully I'm not lagging too bad. I don't know what's going on with my internet. Can you guys see me okay? Cool. Here's what we're looking at on Bitcoin and crypto. Right now, we're seeing quite a bit of sideways movement. We're seeing that Bitcoin is trading around that range of the low 30s. We're seeing Ethereum, if I remember correctly, is sitting around 2,300, and Cardano is right around $1.40 right now. Those are three of the major ones that we pay close attention to over on our channel. We're seeing Bitcoin right now be in a symmetrical triangle pattern where we're seeing resistance meeting support, and we're seeing the price constrict. What that means is that we're coiling up tension like a spring. We're seeing the market continue to constrict and constrict and constrict, and eventually all of that pressure has to be released, and when it does, you see something called a breakout. We should be expecting a breakout of some kind in the next couple of days on Bitcoin based on the limited amount of volatility that we've seen and that constraining of price action. I personally think, based on all the technical analysis that I've done, which I don't have time to go into all of it, but I think that we're going to see bearish breakouts for that. I think Bitcoin is personally going to head back down to that around $30,000 region over the next week or so, but from there, I think we're not going to stay down there very long. We might go down into the high 20s for a little bit, but generally speaking, I think in the next month or two, we're going to be trading sideways and then continuing to move to the upside. I don't think we're in a large bear flag right now, as some people are saying, and then we're going to go down to $13,000, $14,000, $20,000. What I do think, though, is that we need to see the market start being priced based off of strong fundamentals, not so much off of hype and exuberance, but based off of actual adoption, based off of actual fundamental development, a lot of which we're going to be talking about on the show. So guys, that's my take on the market. I think it's doing well, but I would be careful about getting too excited for this week.
I largely agree with that. I think 30 is about as low as we can go. Like you said, we have a little bit of support, meeting a little bit of resistance. Kind of reminds me of my last relationship. I'm sorry, Kat. I'm sorry. Oof. I take that back. Instantly regret that statement. All right, so we're going to take it to our first topic here. It looks like NFTs have no signs of slowing down. There's been some huge sales for the first half of 2021. We just passed end of July, and for January to June, it looks like sales were $2.5 billion for NFTs. And just to wrap your head around how insane that is, the first half of 2020 was only 13 million. So from 13 million to 2.5 billion, it's been an explosive gain. I want to take it to, let's see, Blockchain Boy. You've actually released your own NFT. I'm trying to see. It looks like it was, what's the platform that you went with that to drop it?
So I made a joke NFT, but that was on OpenSea. I've purchased NFTs on, I think, Rarible and one other store. I purchased one in Bitcoin Miami. I've had a couple different experiences. It's still a kind of a clunky process for some of it. It depends really on what site you're using, but it's getting better all the time. My mom actually was telling me about these little, the crypto punks. She figured out what those were, and she was trying to get me to look at some dog ones. And I was like, Mom, I don't know if this is how that works. But yeah, NFTs,
what my
the hype
call
died
me,
down.
actually. So you're saying your mom. Speaking of NFTs, is this something that's like really tech heavy, or is this something that, for instance, your mother could release? Is this like further down the line? Like how tech savvy do you have to be able to pull that off?
I mean, realistically, you have to be able to mint those NFTs, which is not an easy task. It requires at the very least, a MetaMask, and most people don't know how to use that, or at least the average retail, Coinbase user doesn't know how to do that quite yet. We're definitely getting there. It's getting easier every day. I think really gaming is going to be what spurs NFTs into the limelight. We saw just, I think this week, that video that went viral on TikTok of the NFTs overlaid with the augmented reality. And that's another aspect to where people can actually see it. And so they get a better idea of why an NFT is actually useful in the first place. Like, people don't understand digital scarcity quite yet.
No, and speaking of NFTs, now, Ben, I know you've dropped several series of NFTs. You just recently dropped the BitPunks that had special utility, and as far as I know, like, you're the first in the entire space to do that, where if you held a specific punk on a specific week, you would get airdrop tokens into your ERC20 wallet. So, if you had, XYZ, depending on the day, you would just get dropped. I mean, sometimes a lot of these punks are getting hundreds of dollars instantly paying for themselves. Now, is there any other projects you got in the future that you could share with us? I know you have some secret projects with some celebrities, but is there anything that perhaps you could tell us about?
Well, there is a dog running wild around the office. Her name is Sorry. So she's over here just, she tried to come in. I had to shut it down because there's there's few NFTs on Cardano right now. So I had to tell her to. So listen, we've got a lot of interesting stuff. Here's the thing, right? Like, we understand that we're a popular channel, obviously, right? We understand we're a popular crypto brand. We like to see ourselves as the mainstream crypto, portal between the mainstream and crypto, okay? That's what we like to think of ourselves as. So it'd be real easy for us to take advantage of NFTs and cash grab stuff and just put out pictures of my face and sell them, and, down the road, they won't really probably be worth anything. So what we really try to do is come up with a way that we could sell NFTs that would actually have value while the people are holding them, regardless of what they may or may not be worth down the road. And so we came up with this idea. There's little Ada. There she is. We came up with this idea to airdrop different tokens. We got a bunch of different projects to sponsor weekly airdrops to the holders of tokens. Like, so for instance, the Banker was one of the NFT punks, Bitverse punks that we dropped. Those people, the first week they owned it, they were already actually in the green from where they bought it at, because they got the airdrop and it was a rare card. There were only 20. So they got a much higher percentage of the tokens. So they got over $500 in tokens with an appreciating asset, with, the coin that it was the first week. It's escaping my brain which one it was the first week. But the point is, they're not only going to have value down the road, possibly, they might not. But right now, you already got your money back. And we think that's a cool utility for NFTs. And when you think about the amount that they paid versus the amount that those tokens could be worth down the road, I mean, obviously, they could be worth a lot more just based on the token value alone, not having anything to do necessarily with how popular our version of that specific NFT may be at the time. We also have another NFT project that we're dropping on Wax on Atomic Hub that's going to be all of our Bitverse characters formed into a puzzle, and we're working on a lot of special utility with that as well. So we try to give more to our audience than just, hey, here's a couple cool cards, even though we pay a lot of money for the art and we pay a lot of money to the people that design them. But we like to give our audience, as you guys know, the people that watch this channel, you guys know what we give. We like to go above. And like I said earlier, I just like to be a little extra. So.
Yeah. Oh, trust me, we know. I'm kidding, of course. Now, Mind Your Biz, before the show, we were talking about Minecraft and how there's Minecraft servers that you actually own your plot of land. BJ, I know you're a really big fan. Quick question, BJ. How many people do we have watching right now?
I would be happier if it was more, but it's 2,979.
Oh, God. How many likes are we at?
Ooh.
Oh, God. Let's see.
We got to smash those likes up.
Yeah, let's smash those buttons.
Get us above 3, get us to 5, get us to 10, get us to 20. All right, so Mind Your Biz, we were talking about that. So would you ever consider some high-end pieces of art if you had a metaverse that, you actually cared about, whether it was a Minecraft server, home that you built yourself, or if it was Decentraland, more of a metaverse thing, kind of like a Ready Player One? Would you consider high-end pieces of art, or would you just want all utility for your NFTs?
Oh my gosh, that's I think the $1 million question right now, or the $11.5 million question as of this quarter, right? I think this is the last CryptoPunk sold for at Sotheby's.
Yep.
But yeah, so I think really, for my part, I mean, I was raised in a home full of artists, so I get that collectible art is a thing. I get that it's valued in a very, very different way, and it's very difficult to be able to draw comparisons between something that's either collector quality and pristine and has very limited scarcity and provably limited scarcity versus something that has pure utility. Some people will claim that the fact that we've even progressed as far as we have as the human race is in large part because of our creativity and the fact that we can think abstract thoughts. This is represented by our art, right? This is why we prize arts. This is why the Medici sponsored so much of the arts back in the day. Even when the church at that time couldn't quite, the Medici stepped in and said, you know what? We want you to lift the highest ideals of mankind, and we'll pay you for it, and we'll pay you handsomely for it if you can make this something that people actually want to look at more than once. It's not an easy feat, right? To get that quality in art. Walk into a gallery, and if some piece has your attention for more than 5 seconds, that guy is worth his weight in gold. Because 5 seconds is a long time, and it actually always has been. We don't have very long attention spans. So NFTs that can capture your attention and bring something more out of you, maybe even inspire you to express your highest ideals, that is a utility right there. Just full stop. I'll argue that till I'm blue in the face. So no. I would be happy with either one, but I think the arts are enough.
I love it. Great take. Great take. I want to take it in a different direction. Jebb, I have 2 questions for you. First off, when are we going to get a Jebb NFT, perhaps in a Simpsons likeness? Anytime? Okay, no. All right, moving on. Now, he was
maybe
talking
soon.
about art.
I don't know. I'll put a ticket in.
on the other end of that, we have like the bureaucratic angle. So, whether it's going to be the DMV, house deeds, health records, are there any projects that you see kind of emerging as a leader in the space? Because eventually I think, we can all pretty much assume NFTs are going to take over a lot of industries. What do you see as like the first movers in this space that, people should keep an eye out for?
Okay, so question 1, Hidely Ho neighbor. Question 2. I had to do it. I get called Ned Flanders all the time on my channel.
You said that, not me. You said that.
No offense taken. Yeah, well, you led into it, DZ. You started it. Either way. Question 2, as far as individual products, now I am not a big investor in NFTs. I want to make myself clear on that. I want to be more involved in NFTs, but I'm far from the foremost expert, even on this panel in NFTs. Ben might be able to answer that question better. But as far as which individual products to look at, but the thing that I'm really interested in is the fact that the cryptocurrency sector is really moving in 2 different directions. And this is a thought I've explored here on the show a couple of times, and that's the idea that we're moving in the direction of having a cryptocurrency industry and a crypto platform industry. We're building some projects like ADA, we're building projects like Ethereum or Solana or some of these other projects that you're supposed to be able to build other things on top of. We're building infrastructure upon which we can build other products. And then we have these cryptocurrencies. But I think I might need to change the way that I'm looking at that, because it's not so much cryptocurrencies, it's crypto scarcity is what we're looking at. A lot of people don't understand this idea of digital scarcity that we were talking about a second ago, but it's really very important. People don't realize that up until 11, 12 years ago, the idea of having anything have any kind of scarcity on the internet was unheard of. It didn't exist. We saw that change when Bitcoin came around, and through distributed ledger technology, all of a sudden, you could have scarcity, which allowed for inflation hardening and long-term value storage into the future. That's why Bitcoin has value, because it has digital scarcity, because of its blockchain technology. But now, over the last couple of years, you just cited the statistic earlier that the amount of money in the NFT space has exploded 100x over the last year. Number one, I don't think we know what the leaders in this space are yet. I think a lot of them are going to be built on Ethereum, but it's too early to tell in that. That's like asking me, what is the #1 computer parts manufacturer in 1970? You know, we're too early to tell on that. There are some great first movers. A lot of them are built on Ethereum. Again, I will leave that. Maybe, Ben, you have a better answer as far as specific projects than I do. Do you? Okay. But the other thing people need to remember is that NFTs, the reason that they're so valuable and the reason you want to be looking at this and why this is not just a fad is because of, one, everything that everyone else just said, but also because digital scarcity in the form of a currency is very important, but digital scarcity in the form of artwork and collectibles is something that we as humans have been doing for thousands of years. 15,000 years ago, we were collecting things. We were collecting beads. We were making art, and it was rare, and it was valuable because of its rarity. Now, the biggest hurdle that a lot of these projects are facing right now is that they're young, they're clunky, and they are immature. That's because it's a young space, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be looking to invest in it. I think there's some great investments out there. I'm not the expert on what they are specifically, but I know that we should be looking into them.
All right, Blockchain Boy, what do you got for those hot picks? People like to hear those hot picks.
Yes.
So there are two, and I'll go ahead and turn my light up. I'm experimenting with the brightness settings, but I think this works better. So there's two projects I'm excited about. #1, Ecomi. A lot of you guys have already kind of heard of that one. We're sitting at $680 million market cap there. And the competitor, in my eyes, to Ecomi, which is not quite out yet, is Epic Prime. They're partnered with Tencent, which owns a large stake in Fortnite. So if there's ever going to be Fortnite NFTs, there, Epic Prime might be where that's coming from. They're partnered with a whole bunch of companies like Funimation, stuff like that. That's not out yet. That's what's upcoming. I got into the pre-sale of that, and I'm probably going to pick up maybe a little bit more if we see the hype around NFTs continue, perhaps after DeFi summer. So Ecomi and Epic Prime are those two projects I'm looking at right now.
All right, I like it. Tencent, also a member of G-Unit back in the day. Not as good as Lloyd Banks. Yeah. All right, so that's going to take us to our next topic. We have China FUD, but is it a big deal at this point? There's some breaking news yesterday, or actually today, this morning it hit us. So the China story, as everyone knows, it started with bans years ago. They reiterate it, but it was mostly a toothless, moves of action there. But however, they've actually been, taking down some of these companies, kicking out miners, and just yesterday they kicked out a software company that was creating cryptocurrency software for other trading platforms, just basically took over the company, took all the assets. So, I mean, it seems like they're starting to put their money where their mouth is and actually implement these bans that they were just screaming from the mountaintops or from the top of the wall for a long time, but they just never really did anything. Now we're starting to see them take action. I'm a little bit worried if this is going to maybe cascade into something even bigger. Now, Mind Your Biz, I know you've done consulting for mining companies. Have you heard anything lately of people trying to find out where do I go? What is the moves that the Chinese miners in the provinces where it hasn't been kicked out? What moves are they looking to move soon? Are they bolstering down? Or are they taking advantage of the cheap energy? What are they doing right now?
Well, if you pay attention to the net hash, the total global hash rate of Bitcoin in particular right now, you'll notice that it's hardly even skipped a beat, DZ. Yes, it has decreased, and yes, difficulty is going down, and yes, we're going to see that continue over time because that's how Bitcoin consensus is designed. It's designed to be a little bit reactive and interactive and responsive. It's this living, breathing thing. One of the few things about Bitcoin that is not literally heavily ossified and slow, right? Everybody else to call it the MySpace of crypto. And nothing could be further from the truth when you're looking at mining. And a lot of the gear that's coming out of China right now is already starting to go back online in adjacent former Eastern Bloc countries like Georgia, like Kazakhstan, before you know it, you're going to have some of the other stands, right, that are coming out and saying, hey, you know what, we happen to have enough power here that we can run this, or we can get enough investment capital here that we can prop up some new hydroelectric facilities here, or we've got enough of this really great desert that we can set up reflectors and do a solar farming facility, not strictly photovoltaics, but all of the necessary components to capture more sunlight and convert more sunlight into electricity. You've got all the resources in the world. And in some cases, you've also got significant wealth that we don't see, or we don't understand it in the same way here because we're used to it being expressed or being invested in other ways. But in some of these territories, it will definitely come out of the woodwork and they realize, wait a second, we have a unique opportunity to take a significant percentage of the means of production of the most valuable asset, the most provably scarce asset that has ever been created in the currency space. When they capture that vision, and a lot of investors in China already did, which is why they were already mining, but when that vision travels with them to some of these adjacent countries where they're not encumbered by tariffs and they're not encumbered by any kind of sanctions or any kind of legal problems that would prevent them from just quickly and easily changing business, then they're going to hit the ground running. Full stop. And I think it's a pipe dream for us to just imagine that it's all going to come stateside. As much as I would love to see it, right? I love my country as much as the next guy, and I would love to go consult on new operations in Texas and in other states where they've got great diversification of energy generation. But I just don't think it's going to happen in that way. It's already moving to former Eastern Bloc countries, and there are people and investors there who have been waiting for their chance, and now they've got it. So that's the FUD is overstated.
So those Eastern Bloc countries are basically telling us to mine our biz. All right, so with the mining, we saw it capitulate. It hit the price. Bottomed out. It looked like about 28.5 or so. This seemed to be hopefully the bottom of Bitcoin. Now, I think a lot of people agree that in the long term, this is a net positive. I want to ask you, Ben, because you're always really good with the macro views. Where do you see this playing out for China in a 10 to 20 year timeline? Is this going to end up well for them or end up being really bad?
Yeah, well, I mean, guys, I've been telling you guys for a while, this is all smoke and mirrors. And I think that, Seth from Mind Your Biz, I think he hit it on the head there. He said, with all of this stuff, the hash rate dropped a little bit, difficulty dropped a little bit, but the mining is still going on without missing a beat. It hasn't skipped a beat. It's still continuing. And I think really this is extremely overstated what's going on in China. This is all part of a bigger plan. Guys, if I told you that China was in somebody's pocket, would you believe me? Sounds crazy, I know, but I think somebody has China in their pocket. And what I mean by that is spreading out this Bitcoin hash rate to other countries is all part of a bigger plan. And it's basically, I think there are certain countries that are in play to get more of the hash rate. I agree that, America, we're not going to get all the hash rate over here stateside, but I think you would agree with me, said like we can do more than 5%, right? Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah. Easy peasy. We've got so much more carrying capacity.
Yeah, so I think if we can at least get that up to 10, 12, 15%, I'd be really happy with that. Because look, we don't want America to have the majority of the hash rate. That's the whole point of decentralization, is for it to be spread around. So I think the future for China in this, which, I think that the leadership of China is laughing at all this. They're having a good time with this FUD. And I think that we will see China continue to be a player in the game. Guys, where are all the miners made at? They're all made in China, okay? So they're winning the game one way or the other, okay? Right now, this is all smoke and mirrors. They're trying to flood the price of Bitcoin. This is all part of a big effort to manipulate the market down. There is big of a, they're the ones that are doing this is the point of it. I'm trying to say here, if you look at what happened all over June for the whole entire month, it was FUD after FUD after FUD. I mean, they're the prime suspects in the manipulation, right? They work hand in hand with a lot of the bigger institutions to do this. So if you ask me 10 to 20 years what this looks like down the road, I would be really much more interested in seeing how China will look 10 to 20 years down the road in terms of their dominance in solar power and their dominance in energy, because that's what's shaping up to where we're going to end up being dependent on them for solar energy down the road. That's what I'm more concerned with. I think when it comes to Bitcoin mining, they're still going to dominate. They're still going to be the dominant power that is making the miners. They're still going to be the dominant power that's going to have probably the most hash rate, but we are going to see that hash rate spread out a little more. It's a big game of institutional chess that's going on right now.
Yeah, I think everybody agreed that the hash rate spreading around the globe is a good thing for everybody who believes in Bitcoin. It's what it's meant to be. It's decentralized. Having it all centralized in such a a nation that has such a stranglehold on its people. Maybe that's not the right word, but I mean, we've seen lately in the last 2 months like what they can do. So I think in the long run, I think we're all pretty happy about that. Now, I know digital yuan is what they're pushing towards. I know the central banks here, they're pushing for a digital currency. It seems to be moving forward. It's going to happen. I want to ask Jebb here. Now, do you see people eventually moving into foreign digital currencies and then trying to play the inflation game? For instance, if digital yuan has a lower inflation than digital dollar, perhaps you'd want to go there. Or if the Swiss franc or the euro, do you see in a weird way digital currencies competing with each other actually helping an inflationary asset like the money printers making dollars? Or do you see like people just will laws and regulations prevent that?
So the laws and regulations are probably going to be supporting digital currencies like digital yuan and the digital franc and the digital US dollar or digital what have you. But the problem is the entire reason the cryptocurrencies have value is because of their hard capped limited supply that can't be manipulated by ain't nobody. That's not going to be built into a currency so that the government can't manipulate the supply, run inflation, and then subversely tax all of us. They're not going to put that in a digital currency. We're never going to see a digital yuan or a digital US dollar with a limited supply and with a decentralized nature. It's just not going to happen. So what we're going to see is, yeah, we're probably going to see central bank digital currencies rolling out that are functionally identical to what's already here, except, oh, cool, they have some new code behind them. Yay, we're able to process transactions twice as fast. Cool. It's not going to make a fundamental difference. But the problem is that it will distract a lot of people from the real point of cryptocurrency, which is that decentralized nature and that limited supply. I think people need to keep in mind those two fundamentals, and that's why I bring them up all the time on my channel and when I'm here. Bitcoin has value because it has a limited supply and it's defended by its decentralized nature through the distributed ledger mining proof of work consensus algorithm that we have. As far as the China thing is concerned, what we're seeing right now is a lot of FUD coming out of China. We're always seeing FUD coming out of China. Is China trying to manipulate the price? Gee, I wonder. Yeah, they're definitely trying to manipulate the price. They obviously don't want Bitcoin to do well. They banned it because they're scared of it, not because necessarily I think that they want to have power over it. If they did, they would have left all the mining power in their nation and went and tried to steal it from all the people that owned it because they're an authoritarian regime that can do that. We just talked about that 5 minutes ago with something else. If they wanted to have control of the hash rate, they would have just left it in there and taken it. That didn't happen. What I think Ben said about them building all the miners, they realized that is a big money-making opportunity, and they're going to be laughing all the way to the bank on that one. What I think we need to keep in mind is that China banning Bitcoin was actually a very good thing. This is foundational. Everybody's already said this, but them banning Bitcoin was a good thing in the short term and in the long term. Short term, it stress tests the Bitcoin network. It stress tests the ability for us to lose a massive amount of the hash rate and have a 28% difficulty drop over this during one difficulty adjustment, and the network kept churning like everything was running fine. Block times jumped up to I think 18 minutes for a little while. It readjusted. We're good. Short term, it was a great stress test. We passed it with flying colors. Long term, it helps with the decentralized nature of the cryptocurrency space. What a lot of people are seeing right now is short term FUD coming out of China is actually long term fundamental growth in the decentralized nature of the network, and it's going to help to make the network more secure in the long run. I also want to encourage people to remember all of that mining equipment, as Seth talked about earlier, is coming right back online. It's all going to be back here very quickly. We're even seeing Venezuela looking to move in the direction of setting up a state-owned mining farm. They're looking to make $750 million a year, 20,000 Bitcoin a year. They have a geothermal power plant they're going to hook up to with like 95 megawatts of power. There is so much mining going on that people don't need to be worried about it. If anybody's scared of China, it's a good thing. Don't get freaked out about it.
Yeah, because we all know Venezuela's state-owned companies always perform super well.
I'm sorry. I said Venezuela. I meant to say El Salvador. Two very different countries.
That's a little bit better.
My bad. My bad.
I wanted to ask Blockchain Boy a question here. Now, with so many people across the globe, maybe, I don't want to say rejecting Bitcoin, but as the popularity is going into other digital currencies and, we have regulations going against Bitcoin, if enough people, including the world's largest country, 1.4 billion people, if I'm not mistaken, if they don't believe in Bitcoin as a digital gold, does that ruin its chances, do you see, long-term for it being the ultimate digital store of value? Or is it just an inevitable machine that can't be stopped?
I mean, realistically, China has banned pretty much the American internet, or the regular internet, if you will. as to not offend the Europeans, because they just don't want, they don't have control over it. And the same thing goes for Bitcoin. I kind of agree with Jebb. This is like jumping in the cold pool. You know, it doesn't feel great at first, but it's better for your circulation, i.e. the hash rate, better for the network. This is just coming from somebody, and I know you guys have been in crypto for a long time too. This just feels like more of the same China FUD. And now it feels like they've run out of China FUD, because like, how many times have we heard these news articles? Yep. How many times have I seen the same story on CNBC about China banning Bitcoin, and now they've done it? It came out of nowhere. We never saw this one coming. Frankly, if anything, this makes me bullish on VeChain, as we all know, one of 2 projects approved in China. God bless.
We know you love your VeChain.
Yes, I do. VeChain and Chainlink, man. Those two projects are going to let me retire by themselves.
Hey, well, let's bring it to our last topic here. Speaking of VeChain and some of these other currencies, it looks like it's the summer of DeFi 2.0. Those who were around last year saw that there's an explosive growth last summer with DeFi tokens. It looks like we might be repeating that again. You know, time will tell. It is only the beginning of July. We still have this month. We still have August. So they're seeing a huge increase today. It looks like all the largest gainers in the market today were DeFi. Blockchain Boy, keeping it on you, what do you think is going to be the hotter platform for the next 2 months? Do you think it's going to be the Binance Smart Chain, or do you think it's going to be the regular Ethereum tokens?
Well, 2 things. It's important to note that right now, what I'm seeing this is short term and long term. Short term, stocks are correcting. Bitcoin likely has at least one more movement to the downside. I think between 28 to 24K is very possible. But long term, right? DeFi summer. Guess what started the bull run last time? It was Compound. It was Aave. It was these DeFi projects. They started moving first. We saw the whole Ethereum ecosystem cycle, and it looks like it's getting started again. Because keep in mind, the path to alt season starts with those large cap DeFi projects. That's exactly how it happens every time. Then it moves to the other large caps, mid caps, and then we'll either have a meme coin season like we did last time, or hopefully an altcoin season with the small cap fundamentals. So that's what I'm seeing happen. I'm not necessarily of the opinion that right now is the time to throw in the money, because the entire market could easily go down another 40-50% if Bitcoin dropped to the mid-20s. But are we starting to see some positive movement? Absolutely, and that definitely fills me with some excitement.
Yeah, I think we all learned that lesson, and those who've been around also know last 2 months shown that if the king goes down, it's hard for those other coins to go up. Now, he brought up a good point that some of these, like the Aave, the Compound, so Synthetics was up 26% at one point today, Compound, SushiSwap up 15%, Aave, I believe, was up around 10-12%. These are multi-billion-dollar market caps. These aren't 10 million market caps. These aren't, ranked 847 on CoinGecko. These are the big coins with the large institutional money, and they are pumping. So I wanted to ask, Mind Your Biz, are there any of these smaller caps, mid caps that are getting you excited in this space that you can maybe throw our viewers?
Okay, you're asking me to do some live gem hunting here, yeah? Live dig through the chest. Is that what we're asking about? Okay.
Well, what's in the war chest?
Well, I'm always going to be very cautious when being asked that question, and I think I've got the benefit. I might be able to pass this thing all the way through. Let's see if this works here. Not advice. There you go. That's why I use the OBS camera. You can always disclaim my way out of a corner. But no, there's some mid caps that I've been following for a couple of years now. We talked about it off camera or before the show started. That like Haven, for example, Haven Protocol, they took a big hit with a vulnerability that was discovered recently. However, that maybe gives people who were looking at a similar project a great entry point where they thought they missed the boat before, right? They thought they missed the bus. Now, with this issue they've run into, a technical issue in nature, that I think they're capable of solving given time and given the correct hard fork at the right block height to sort of rewind history. Will it shake faith in some side of their project? Of course, just as we saw with the DAO hack and the split, the rollback and the split between Ethereum and Ethereum Classic. They're not quite at that size yet. They're not quite at that market cap yet. But in terms of what people hope will happen, the hopes and aspirations and Wow, sorry. Dreams. Get a little verklempt. Dreams for this project. I'm really not that choked up about it. It's just that, guys, at the end of the day, they're just cryptos. don't take it too
We
seriously.
care so much.
But with Haven, people do have really high hopes for this project because of what they brought in terms of a private by default DeFi layer. Now, you got Monero with what they talk about doing in Tari, and I don't care what Fluffy Pony says, the obvious use for Tari is going to be stablecoins and DeFi down the line. They think it's going to be for NFTs or something else. I'm just here to tell you that's bogus, right? You heard it here first on BitBoy's show. You heard it right here on Around the Blockchain from On Your Biz. That what they're gunning for in the long run is biding their time, circling the wagons around platforms and tools that can be used for DeFi in a more private way in the future, and right now hoping that the regulatory framework kind of marches a little farther forward, that we see more legislation out of states other than just Wyoming being able to help them make sense of it before they launch so they don't go to prison. Kind of a big deal, right? When you're launching DeFi products. But with Haven, you asked me to mention just one project. They already built that. They took the Monero code base and already built something similar to it, and right now it's just a couple of simple things. It's use the native token or peg to a stable asset like USD or gold. And they just wanted to do one thing well. Well, it broke, right? Hey, I mean, shocker, right? These are really complicated systems. And that one thing that they taught it to do broke after a significant run of not being broken. So why do I bring this up right now? Because you mentioned stuff that I think is mid-cap that is really promising. I think Haven really fits the description there. And because of this most recent setback that the project has, you might see an entry point that's attractive to you. Hashtag not advice.
Yeah, when things are broken, things can't go poorly. Just ask the outspoken owner of the Dallas Mavericks. He knows all about that. And so there's all types of value locked in these ecosystems. I was looking at the top 5 here. It looks like Aave, then Curve Finance, Instadap, Maker, then Compound. There's over 50 billion locked up in these basically these DeFi plays where a lot of times they're just trying to get better interest rates than the banks. And speaking on the banks, I want to bring it back to you, Ben. What are the ones that the big institutional behind the closed curtain, behind doors in the room where they're smoking cigars, they're elbowing each other and they're jostling each other and they're laughing at our expense? What are the coins that the big institutional players are leaning into?
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously Bitcoin, Ethereum, right? I mean, that's not without question. I mean, or it is without question because we've seen the numbers, we've seen the increase in the futures contracts and the way that people can invest in those or the big players can invest. We know that. But Cardano is next on that list. Cardano had the most institutional money pour into it last month than it ever has before. But what these institutions are finding out is they're having a hard time forcing the Ethereum and the Cardano holders to sell. Look for a big downward push on Cardano at some point where they try to test that. But I don't know if they know. The Cardano folks, they ain't selling. Like the people that have been holding on to that thing forever, not the brand new holders in it. Those people will not be tricked into getting rid of their coins. So this is definitely one to watch. And also, I'll be honest with you, I'm really starting to move XRP into my list of long-term holds because I now am looking at a lot of numbers. I'm seeing a lot of stuff. I wonder how much control the institutions already have on XRP, and Blockchain Boy's over there shaking his head. Look, Blockchain Boy, I know you got philosophies and I like that about you. And I know you got, lines that you don't like to cross, but what I'm the most concerned about is whether or not my audience makes money. That's what I'm the most concerned about.
It's not even about the philosophy for me. I don't see banks, or at least most banks, utilizing the XRP token, in my opinion.
100%. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you that I would think that too, but you're wrong. And I also am wrong. There's a lot of evidence coming out that they are going to be using it.
What is it, the ISO 2200 standard? Is that what you've been looking into?
No, I got people. Okay, I got people. And I'm telling you, this is coming. You look at a lot of the moves that they're making across between e-banks, between Santander, between stuff going on in the Middle East right now. Like, I'm telling you, people who are investing in XRP right now, they're going to get rich, period. It's been more suppressed than any other coin during this entire bull market. That's obvious. Why? There's a fundamental reason why. The SEC lawsuit. Once this clears up, it is going to take off, and then the banks are going to, look, you call it the banking cartel, you can call it whatever you want to call it. They are choosing Ripple. They are going to choose XRP. That is going to happen. That's part of a bigger master plan. And so, all your talking points you say about it, I was saying the same stuff a year ago. I thought the SEC lawsuit was going to be pretty much the end of Ripple. But here's the thing. I mean, can you not read the room and see what's going on with that SEC lawsuit? All of the talking points that people have said against Ripple, including myself, over the last year to 2 years, about being a security, having possibly getting in trouble for that, the way that they pump their own bags, the way that Brad Carlinghouse and Chris Larson and Jedd McCaleb as well all got rich from it while they were selling during the bear market. You can talk about all that stuff, and all of it's true. But at the end of the day, they got connections, and this thing is happening. So I would say I'm adding XRP to my list of long-term holds as well, because this thing is going to be used by the banks. I would put my credibility on it. That's a bold statement.
Time shall tell. I'm of the opposite opinion. I think, and this is just my 2 cents on the issue. From what I've researched into it, I don't think XRP necessarily will be used to the extent that people say it will. I mean, will it replace Swift? I don't know about that. There's actually some interesting connections between Chainlink and Swift, kind of bridging DeFi and centralized finance. And frankly, I think I have some people who would be very interested in talking to you now that you've just said that. If you ever want to set something up, I'd love to make.
Is it the Greek Mafia?
It's the XRP community on TikTok who I'm buddies with, who are not.
Oh, they love me now.
Not the ones who.
Yeah.
I saw a
they
video circulating of you.
It's true. I mean, look here.
XRP to $30.
Here's the thing.
No.
Everything you're saying about why you don't think it'll be used, that's coming from the crypto side. I'm talking to people on the banking side. And I can tell you this thing's getting ushered in.
Okay, you heard it here first, folks.
Boy.
I mean, we'll see. Time will tell.
Bold statements.
Bold. But you know what? That's why people love this channel, because we say what we mean what we say, and we're not afraid of the crazy proclamations, or maybe not so crazy. Time will tell, like I said. Now, Jebb, we were talking earlier about Bitcoin's price and how basically how the alts will do, how the mid caps, how the smaller caps. It all is based upon like whether or not what's the king doing. So the question I wanted to ask you is, does total value locked mean more, or does Bitcoin's price mean more when it comes to these large institutional DeFi plays?
I think the value delivered to a customer means more, because right now what we're seeing is cryptocurrency is almost turning into another version of it's almost turning into a side stock market. All these DeFi projects, all these cryptocurrencies, they are, at the end of the day, a product that is providing value to a user somewhere, whether that be someone who is holding value into the future, whether that be someone who is using a DeFi project for all of their finance needs, whether that be somebody who is trying to use a currency as a medium of exchange on a day-to-day functionality. Right now, we are building products that people are using. So how do you measure that? That's the problem. Which one is more important, I don't think is the right question. I think the right question is how many people are getting how much value out of what cryptocurrency projects. A lot of people are getting value out of Bitcoin. That's why its value is so high. Yes, Bitcoin is the top dog, and yes, where Bitcoin goes, the altcoins are going to follow. It's going to be that way for a long time. But we're seeing a lot of money locked up in Cardano. We're seeing a lot of it locked up in Ethereum projects. We're seeing a lot of money locked up all over the place, and I think that is a metric that we absolutely need to look at. As a business owner who runs the company that backs up our channel, I can tell you key performance indicators, numbers that you track, are incredibly important. You don't want to just focus on one, but there are certain ones that you want to focus on. You got to focus on the market cap. You got to focus on the number. So I'm kind of dodging your question because I think the answer is both. I don't want to pit one against the other. They're both important. I think what we need to remember is that the biggest real use case for cryptocurrency is its decentralized nature, allowing for it to build digital scarcity digitally scarce solutions that have transparency. That's one of the big places we've seen value flowing into cryptocurrency, is that we're seeing transparency. We're going to be able to use Bitcoin and blockchain technology and DeFi projects to set up financial systems that are transparent uncorruptible and completely visible to the open public. That's what we already have on Bitcoin. What we're seeing right now, and the reason why DeFi is doing so well and why I think it's going to continue to do so well, is because there's so much competition. You have all these different projects going head to head saying, hey, I'm going to do this. No, I'm going to do this. Well, I'm going to do it better. That is entrepreneurship and capitalism at its core, and that is how an economy grows. I love Bitcoin, but frankly, Bitcoin doesn't have anyone competing with it right now, and it's not going to for a long time. Everybody who's trying to compete with Bitcoin has been just absolutely obliterated. The people developing Bitcoin don't have competitive pressure on them the same way that all these DeFi projects do. It's that competition in DeFi that I think is helping to grow this space, and it's why I think DeFi might actually grow faster than Bitcoin over the next several months, and why I agree with everyone else on this panel when we say we need to be paying attention to seeing what DeFi is doing, because it's going to lead into the next bull market.
I agree with you. It's probably going to outperform Bitcoin in the short term. When you're saying there's no competitor for Bitcoin, you just made all the Litecoin holders real sad.
Yes,
I did. What are they going to do?
Yeah.
Litecoin is such a
I used to be one. I used to be a Litecoin holder.
All right. Well,
it's
that's
funny.
all...
I actually met some of the guys from the Litecoin Foundation in like 2019 in DC, and they were all like, basically just telling us to buy Litecoin. We were just sitting there at the bar, and my buddy bought like a couple Litecoin, and he was like, "Oh, I bought some Litecoin, yay!" Cool guys, don't get me wrong, but I mean, Charlie sold. So.
I think it's one of those projects just going to continuously drop lower and lower in the market cap rankings. It might go up in value, but it's going to lose rankings. But that's all we have time for today. Ben, I was hoping you were going to win just for the Ripple Army, but as Jebb was talking about transparency, he put me in a trance, and it looks like he's our winner. So the battle continues between Jebb and Ben. Will it be settled on the paintball field? Who knows? I'm looking forward to it either way. But Jebb, you're our winner. I'm going to go ahead and give you about 30 seconds. Tell us what the people need to hear.
Guys, Bitcoin is valuable because it has a limited supply, it is backed up and defended by decentralized nature, and it has value because we all agree it has value because it provides value to us. It does that by retaining its value into the distant future. Remember that the project that will become the most valuable is the project that provides the most value to the end user. If your project provides value to a large number of people and it provides a lot of value, it's going to go very far. If it doesn't, probably not something you want to invest in. That's why Bitcoin's so valuable, because it's very good at both of those things. Peace.
Great parting words, and make sure to follow us on Twitch. If you're watching at home, hit that like button. That's all we got time for today, BitSquad. DZ out.